Hi everyone, it's Narelle from Global Weddings, and today I have Matthew from Matthew Oliver Weddings joining me. Welcome, Matthew.
Oh, hi everyone. Hi Noel.
Hi. He's all the way in the UK, and I'm here in Melbourne, Australia. How's the
Wish you were
weather
here.
over there? Oh,
Yeah, the weather's amazing. It's what is keeping me alive right now is the weather.
yeah, we're in weird times at the moment. We're all in lockdown with the COVID-19, so we're taking this time to connect with everybody and do some interviews. And I was lucky enough to work with Matthew on a wedding in Oman, I think a month ago. It's been now, time flies. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, Matthew, for inviting us to be a part of that. It was a highlight. It was absolutely fantastic. So a big thank you to you. But I thought if you could let everybody know a little bit about how we met.
Of course, so me and Noel are really, really close in friendship and everything, and we've traveled the world together, which has been absolutely amazing. So we first met each other in Phuket in Thailand. But we didn't really talk then that time. This was DWP. It was our very, very, very first destination wedding planning congress, which takes you all the way around the world. It's something, if you're watching, that you're looking to do a network. It's a great networking opportunity. We found it really, really powerful for us. We first properly talked over vegan cheese in Mexico, second DWP. And then ever since then, we have been best of buds. And like I said, we've been able to travel the world together. We haven't actually met each other in our home countries. Phuket, Mexico, Dubai, India, Dubai, Oman.
And we
Right?
forgot Bali.
Oh, Bali. Yeah.
Bali.
Oh my God. And she went to town on a holiday last year for myself, Bertie, my partner. Best holiday I've ever been on.
Well, all of our brides and grooms know how amazing Bali is because the majority of our weddings are there, and just the hospitality and everything you get there is incredible. So I was able to show Matthew, because I'm trying to entice him to bring weddings to Bali, exactly what Bali can offer to everybody.
I was blown away. And we just got this great relationship where we don't talk all the time, but when we talk and we have a really good relationship. I love her. She's taught me a lot about business because we work very, very differently, even though obviously we're very companies, but we are both very, very different in how we, create these magical weddings, because we're both trendsetters in that effect. And like Narelle said, that she is working more in Bali, I'm working more in Europe. So even with the weather, it's so different. But anyway, that's just a little highlight, and I love her.
Yes, and I appreciate everything I learned from you, and I love spending time with you. And you're my little travel buddy now. It's wonderful, isn't it? So tell us a little bit about the wedding in Oman. It was a royal wedding. Tell us a little bit about the wedding and the couple.
So we were fortunate. So 5 years ago, roughly, we were planning a wedding in Oman for a royal. And unfortunately, 3 months before the wedding, they decided to get married in London at the Mandarin Oriental. And that's what was my first, take on Oman. I never had the experience, never been there before. So from that 5 years ago, and not being able to complete the actual wedding, this was like a dream come true, because I knew the place, I knew the venues, I knew the suppliers. So I really wanted to get my hands back over there and my teeth into something challenging to create something magical. So they actually came to me last January, but they didn't actually book me officially until last October, just because of the multiple stresses and unfortunates of family and the tradition and the different events they wanted to plan. But we were patient, and I knew it was going to happen. And actually, originally, it was only going to be one wedding that they wanted us to plan. But in October, they wanted 2 weddings. They wanted the women's only event, and they wanted the Western wedding, because over there it's very traditional, and it's all, they don't really have the Western sort of design. So that's why they wanted to bring a planner from afar in. Like, she was living in London, Jaman, so she wanted to have someone that is based in the UK so that she was able to like work with. And we met up quite a lot during the whole process, which was amazing. And so, and yeah, it was just such a great experience. They are such an incredible couple. They listened, they gave their ideas, but there was no stress, there was no, you know, there was no drama, you know. It was just a very, very great relationship. And as the first event was a women's only event, I knew that I needed a powerful woman by my side supporting me, and who was able to run the show, because I was unable to go into that room because it's traditional. All the women were in their traditional wear, outfits and stuff, so it was, and I had to respect that. It was difficult, which we'll come on to later, but so I knew that I needed to, I've got my team of women and they're incredible, but it was a whole new ball game. So I really needed to have Narelle. I knew that I needed Narelle to run it and to support me.
Well, thank you for inviting me, because it was absolutely amazing. I have to say, it was one of the, you know, to be there and support you and, you know, help everything happen, you know, the way you wanted it to. That's another thing as well. It's difficult coming into something that you haven't been planning and then pick everything up and then on the day be responsible for it and do you proud, of course, as well. Yeah.
It was hard for me to let go, which has always been hard for me to let go. And then obviously it was hard for you to run it, because it was not your baby, like it was my baby.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very difficult, but it was incredible. Like, both events went off swimmingly. Okay, there's a little bit of glitches here and there, but when isn't there a glitch at an event of that size? But it was both of them, the women's only and the Western one, to the couple, it was the best events ever.
And I think a lot of people don't really understand the women's only event. So there was 450 ladies, just ladies. Everyone that was working there, anybody on the floor, everybody had to be a female, even down to the, because it was a royal wedding, there were invitations that were monogrammed and they were the only people that could get in. We were forewarned that people would try and forge these invitations to try and get in. And on the night, there were quite a few, and they were really bad forgeries, a lot of them. But you weren't able to see any of that because you were behind the scenes.
And we even had police officers, didn't we, on the outside, who there's 14 policewomen to stop people from getting in that weren't.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely, it was that crazy in terms of how the scale and how large it was. And what Narelle's showing you now is some pictures of the actual ballroom. So we had this whole like canopy of lights above everything. And then what with women's only event is like a catwalk, because the beautiful bride comes down the catwalk when she arrives, but it's much later on. Women arrive first, there's like canapes and there's just like, you know, juices and tea served. And then the bride comes a lot later, walks down the catwalk and then sits on the throne at the end of the, you know, at the end of the catwalk. And then she's just sat there. It's so amazing on like what you like, you know, from different cultures and like seeing it together, because you're learning something new and it's so magical. I found it very like what's the word, like this beautiful, this incredible. Even though I was behind the scenes, I could still like see through the little gaps of the script. And it was just amazing seeing it all, and like how the women would, what the women were wearing, like, you know, it was
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And what about the palace, the venue, the Ritz-Carlton Al Bustan?
That was, yeah, so the first event was done at the Al Bustan, and it was an old palace that was converted into a hotel many years ago, and it was like a typical ballroom, but there's like entrance, but it was more grander than your typical ballroom, And then what we had to do, we brought in an amazing production company, Prestige, who literally listened to my ideas. Because the reason we were there is we had our sort of intake on what we wanted to create based on the venue. We wanted to work with the venue and create something so different. Yes, it was a traditional event, but we had to also still give it the Matthew Oliver touch and like create something that was in keeping with the venue, in keeping with the bride and groom as well. So we had this whole like concept of hanging stuff. It was either it was going to be flowers or it was going to be lights, but we originally were going down the route of flowers, foliage and everything, but unfortunately due to the weight restrictions we had to obviously like come up with another idea. And then what we were doing is working with Prestige, the production company, and we were like just saying what was the best route to go down with that. And it was amazing how little time they needed to set up and like what they such a huge team like from the Wednesday. And it was just amazing to like see how quickly, because obviously in Europe it's a lot slower. Something of that size would have taken a lot longer to actually do.
The roof was 2,000 kilos, wasn't it? The truss hanging from the roof was could take up to 2,000 kilos, and I think they used all of the 2,000 kilos with the chandeliers and everything hanging, which we'll show them some reception photos soon. How hard was it for you to sit back and watch?
Oh, extremely hard.
Me take care of the event that you'd been planning. All that time, you and Danny planned it. And we were lucky enough that Matthew and I visited Dubai in January. So we popped over to Oman and had 3 days there and got to play around with all of the designs. So, you know, the colours were kind of like a cool icy type tone. And, you know, we had tables and chairs and vases and everything that we got to play around with and design. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was very, very difficult, to be honest, because like you said, like I planned it. Like I was the main planner, and for not to be able to like just go up to the bride when she was sat down and to see if she's okay, it's hard for me, because to me, like, that is something that's really important to me, like just making sure that everyone's happy and know what is going on, because it is stressful. Any event stressful, and I really saw what we're actually like on an event, like, because you're always running around, everyone sort of knows what's happening if you've got enough time to tell someone else. Normally you know what you want to do and you just do it, like, because event, like if there's something that needs to be done, and it's like, instead of radioing someone, really it might be quicker for you to actually do it. So to actually sit back and see the clogs of an event unfold was actually quite interesting for me. And not be part of it was very difficult, especially when there was a problem, which we'll probably go to in a minute, but I nearly ran into the room because I stopped, like, oh my god, like I need to go back. This is interesting when you are in charge. It's you can't get in.
Yeah, and going to that problem that we had, so, you know, all the guests arrived, and then the bride makes her grand entrance on this beautiful catwalk. Her dress was so heavy that we had to literally help her up onto the stage, up to the catwalk from the back, and she took her probably about 9 minutes to get from the entrance for the reception all the way up to her throne, so to speak. And we were walking beside her to show her when to walk, when to step, so she wasn't thinking in her head, you know, 1, 2, 3. And I had to keep reminding her to smile, because I think she was just like, so, you know, her dress was heavy and she had on these really high shoes, and, you know, I kept looking up at her, smiling. And she would sit there and people would come up to greet her. So it was just like royalty. It was amazing. But you didn't get to see that, Matthew, unfortunately. You were peeping behind through a little partition.
I couldn't see the whole, but I saw the rehearsal.
Yeah. And then the singer came out, and I was up near the stage, and the singer came out, and then I heard a bit of a bang, and not really loud, and the chandeliers went out. So there were lights on, but no chandeliers. And I could hear that the speaker wasn't working on one side, and I'm like, oh no, they've blown the power. So I'm on my walkie-talkie up one end of the ballroom, and no one could hear me. So I had to like run into the back room where Matthew was. Now, not only they were there there was a how many piece band playing?
Like a 20 or like
20
30?
piece band playing in the green room, like really loud, because they're all men and they couldn't be out into the ballroom. So we're trying to work out what's going on with this 20 piece band playing this music where this singer's trying to sing. And everyone's like having a robust conversation about what was going on. And in the end, I just, because it wasn't my event, if it had been my event, I would have been hyperventilating, going, oh, what's happening, what's happening? But I was able to just get, right, we need to get this fixed. And so then...
that as well, because you came across, you handled it differently to how you would normally handle it, because it wasn't your event. You went in with no emotion. So you were like, we called you. And that's for you, that obviously, you know, it's probably helped you a little bit in terms of like business and like actually like who you are as well, because you're different. And I think if I came into one of your events, I would be Iron Man.
Yeah. I loved being called the Iron Lady. But yeah, that's the thing, you know, it was very culturally different for a female, I think, to be in the back of the hotel's, you know, corridors with the men, trying to say to them, what is going on? What is the power capacity? Like, tell me now, and handle that. And you know, like, I think it was a lot easier for me at your event to do that than if it had been at one of my events, because the emotion wasn't there. You know, at the end of the day, it was your wedding, so they're going to blame you, not me. And that's a big thing, you know, having that responsibility on your shoulders.
But you talking to the guests afterwards and talking to the couple, like to them, that nothing happened. I was like,
I
what?
know.
I was like, all this happening, all this drama, and to the guests and to the couple, it didn't happen. I was like,
well, there was still music playing, and you know, it's like obviously there were drinks going around and everything like that.
we're perfectionists. We are utter. You know, that's who we are. That's what we're doing. That's what we're driven for. You know, because what if they did hear it? What if they did hear that that problem happening? You know, and apparently happens all the time.
They could have told us that beforehand.
Anyway, but now what I've learned is for every single wedding is asking about the waltz, not the waltz, the what did you just say? Like the system, like what's it called? That word? Like the capacity of the lights and the sound.
Yes, the power capacity. Yeah, absolutely.
Making sure that nothing happens like that in the future.
Well, and we know about that, because in Bali we have to bring in generators. We know that the hotel's power can't facilitate what we bring in. So that, luckily I had that knowledge already when I went in there, saying, you know, how many kVAs is your generator, and you know how many, but the lights were LED, and anyway, we worked it out. It didn't take long, and we worked it out. What else was there that was challenging for you on the day?
There was obviously some suppliers that were challenging, because again, I was working with them, and then obviously on the day of the wedding, I wasn't able to continue my relationship with certain suppliers, because they're being introduced to our team, you know. And we, as planners, we have egos, all of us, you know. My team, yourself, Hannah, everyone that was involved, we all have egos, and we all want to like do what's best for the couple.
Absolutely.
So obviously I didn't really did a good transition, you know. Obviously in the future now I'll be like, you know, just obviously as a supplier, they knew that I couldn't attend the wedding. I hope so. But I maybe needed to do a better introduction of like who's in charge and what's going on.
It was spectacular, but there were a few little divas on the day, that's for sure, but nothing that we can't handle because we've got the experience. So tell us a little bit about this perfume stand.
So this is like a traditional perfume stand where particular women welcome the guests to when they come into the ballroom, and it's a very high elegance attraction for all of these traditional weddings.
It's absolutely beautiful, and everyone came in and popped the perfume on. It was so lovely.
Police protect it as well, so no one stole it.
Because apparently that's what they do. And then everyone got a little bottle of perfume as their bonbonniere on the tables, and there were none left. I think there were a few spare seats, but at the end of the night, all the perfume was gone. But that happens at most weddings, where the aunties and the older people go around and collect them.
London, as you can see.
Yes, and that was the frankincense. Was that what they were burning?
Frankincense, yeah.
And we were under strict instructions to make sure that it didn't stop burning. And I remember there was nothing coming out of it. And I went over and I went to lift the lid and it was burning hot. I burnt my fingers, but that's okay. All in the name of an event running perfectly. They fixed it, but they used these massive tongs and stuff to lift it. But it was just such a beautiful detail in the foyer when everyone arrived.
It's amazing.
And here it is.
Incredible. It's beautiful.
So
obviously, as this picture, there's multiple seating. So that white raised platform is the catwalk. So where you're looking at it, that's where she's coming from. And at the end, you can see the sofa, which is, we call it the throne. And then you've got seats all the way around it, which immediate family take. And then you've got the backer seats as well and tables. So it's all sort of like very quite cozy. And the bride and groom, well, the bride, sorry, wanted to be sort of like a cozy sort of relaxed atmosphere, even though obviously it's high elegance. So that's, you know, and we, in this tradition, they don't normally have show plates like what you can see here as well. So we brought all this in from the company to like work with the detail and the colors and the theme that we wanted to create.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. Everything about it was just beautiful. And lining up the chairs on the night before everybody came in and everything like that. That was a lot of fun, you know, having everyone walk around the room, making sure that everything was perfect before the guests arrived. And you always want to be on time.
Yeah.
Always want to be on time.
So it was just obviously managing again when everything was going to be ready, making sure we had enough time for the photo team to come in, photographers, video, to like create, because, you know, we need these photos. We need this is our work. If we didn't have any time. And we realized that some guests were arriving, I think it was 40 minutes before they were supposed to, and that was going to be the team shoot, which we didn't get, because normally we do like a team shoot where we get pictures of us, you know, with the detail of the tables, but that didn't happen at the early guests because myself and Danny couldn't get in there. But we were so fortunate and so lucky to get these detailed shots, because I think these were taken just before the first guests arrived. So that was very, very lucky there, because you, again, managing guests, you know, and the parents of Jaman, and her mum told them to come early.
And then told their neighbours to come without invites and fake invites, and it was fabulous. It was like, honestly, it was so much fun. But the great thing was that it was a dry event, so there was no alcohol, even though we had to get a bottle of champagne afterwards out the back because it was quite stressful. But we were able to have a little photo shoot after the wedding, and it was incredible because, you know, a lot of the weddings that we do, everyone has a great time. The tables are a mess, whereas this, the tables were pristine clean. So at 2:30 in the morning when we'd finished, you were able to go back in there and have your photo shoot with your team and everything.
Yeah, and it was amazing. It was just such a, like, it's still to this day, is like, did it actually happen? Like, why did they hire us, sort of thing, and how did we do that? But we did it, and that's what you, like, anything is possible. And that's what I have to keep remembering. I'm pinching myself that, you know, we're able to travel and do all these magical weddings around the world and like work with all these different cultures and learn something. Like, travel to me is the best education I've ever had. And I think I've learned so much in the last few years, more so than what I learned when I was younger, because of how similar each culture is and has their own little sort of difference. But also like bringing us all together as one. And like, they are a traditional Omani family, and they brought in a Westerner to like trust and to like work with, and we had a great relationship, you know. And it was just, that to me is like, is a change. it's a change to them. I know their parents at the start were like a bit like, what are you doing? Like, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not, you know, you should be working with like a local planner or, you know, stuff like that. But that is a huge step in the right direction in terms of like how we all around the world should unite, you know, like how all cultures, how all countries, especially with what's going on at the moment, just unite, and anything's possible. We can do anything. Like if we just work with the people, because everyone's so different. Everyone's got their own sort of design ideas, and you know, it's fascinating. That's what I love about what I do, and I'm, you know, excited for the next stage. And I know it's not the end of my experience in Oman. It's just the beginning.
It is the beginning. They loved you. You're a superstar. People were coming up to Matthew at the end of the night, ladies, and it's quite strange, wanting photos with him because of his dashing suit that he had on. He was like a superstar. You know, they painted him up to be this superstar, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's your wedding planner, Matthew. We want to get photos with him."
So you all know, listening, we were allowed to go in at the end of the night because the groom comes in. And that's traditionally their way. During the conversation, yeah. So like, what happens at the end of the night? The groom and his entourage come in, and that celebrates the marriage of the couple. So then obviously, I was allowed to go in at the end of the night as well, because then there was an announcement for the women to like get dressed into their traditional, you know, attire.
And the cover up, I thought they would be covered up a lot more than what they did. They just sort of had shawls to cover their shoulders, and you know, maybe a slight thing to cover their hair, but it wasn't like full on covering up. So
based on what everyone said, it sounded like it was a whole full on like, but it wasn't. I like walked in and women were still, you know, out of cost, you know, in their, you know, in what they wore to the event.
And there was some amazing gowns and beautiful jewelry. Oh, wow. It was real royalty, you know, just to be there and be like, this is incredible. So would you do it again? Would you bring someone in again to help you on a wedding?
Absolutely, because I learned bits. We're all so different. And as soon as I know how to plan a wedding perfectly, then I'm out of this industry, you know? It's a learning experience, and like everyone has, like, you know, Narelle's got her own company, she's very successful, she's an incredible woman, so to learn how she runs the event was fascinating. And I hope one day I can repay the favor and come and help Narelle, and then she can see how I work. Not as not, but like, that's, of course I would. We're a small industry, and what I love about wedding planners, other wedding planners, is, and what I love about DWP is they introduce people from all over the world. And it's not the first time that I've worked with another wedding planner, because of as an international planner myself and working in all these new countries like Croatia, Montenegro. We've brought in other planners that we've worked with as well. But they were working throughout the whole planning. But obviously for you, this was like, it was one day, and it was like, we had conversations before on like what was going on, but you weren't officially involved. You know, that was really interesting and really good to get your side of it.
Yeah, and the fact that you couldn't be in the room, that would have been really tough for you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we do a sweep of our receptions. You know, that's the thing. You want the reception to be amazing, and we go through, we check all the tables, and we check everything. And you just weren't able to do that, you know, and you had to watch literally through a little partition, little hole in the partition. You're peeping.
Also to check the couple. Just to go before, like just to go up to her nearest and dearest, because you get to know the parents and the best friends. So just, that's what I do. Like on an event, I make sure that everyone's happy. That's like my favorite, and it just comes to me as natural, and it's such a personal thing, and it's obviously it's nice for the couple as well, and everyone like, oh, of the planner to come up. But I couldn't do that, you know, because
you were hidden.
I was hidden.
And so it was amazing. It was a great success, and we had
after the groom all night.
Well, sorry, what was that?
Looking after the groom all night. I was very busy.
You were being called, you were being summoned all afternoon and all evening. So you were lucky that I was there, because you wouldn't have been able to be in the room anyway, because you were busy playing little concierge to everybody, which is, that's what they love. They love that attention.
Exactly. And I wouldn't change it.
Yeah. So then I flew out of Oman the next day back to Australia, basically back into semi-lockdown in Australia. And then Matthew stayed in Oman for another 10 days and did the Western wedding. So you were in a bit of a bubble over there in Oman, weren't you?
Huge bubble. Like, because obviously we had the photographer team, videographer team, and suppliers from all over the world with us for those whole 2 weeks. So in one location, and we were busy every day, even though if it wasn't like work related. Obviously we had some time off, but we were like wanting to see Oman, so, but we didn't really know what was going on in the outside world, only like what other suppliers were dealing with at the time, like our Japanese photographers. They were like sorting out postponements, but it didn't hit Europe yet. And then literally the Western wedding, 2 days after the Western wedding, well, there was an announcement just before the wedding saying that on the Sunday, that's the last major gathering. That was 2 days before what we planned. So imagine if we were, a few days later, we wouldn't have had the second event.
Yeah, which is incredible. And we'll share some photos of that on our Instagram, if that's okay with you. So, yeah. And then it's back to, maybe for us, I'm not sure that we'll have any more weddings this year, but that's okay. We've postponed a lot for next year. Fingers crossed that we might get a couple towards the end of the year. I'm hoping you guys do as well.
Just to keep us going, our juices going.
Yeah.
And motivation. That's a huge thing. Like, we want to, like, normally I get so stressed out of traveling, but now I'm like missing the travel because I'm just stuck in a Groundhog Day experience.
And that's why we get the chance to do wonderful things like this and chat and, reflect on what we've done and show that to our clients as well.
I'm not a routine person, so this is hard, but it's fine. And I'm still alive. All my loved ones are, so God forbid everyone that's going through it harder than us. So, and I know that the world is, breathing. It's having it's letting go of the toxins that, it's having a detox. The world deserves it. The world needs it, which that just came to me. I impressed myself.
I'm always impressed with you. Well, thank you so much for your time. And again, thank you for letting us be a part of the amazing royal wedding. I had a great time and I learned so much as well. And now we call me Gun for Hire. So if anyone out there needs someone to come in and run their event, I'm a gun for hire. And the Iron Lady. So if you've got anything difficult you need done, you give it to me, and apparently I get that done.
But you can hire both of us.
Yeah, exactly. Hire both of us. Matthew's very, very creative, and he'll make it look absolutely incredible. He has wonderful ideas, and that day in Oman, playing with everything and selecting what, the styling, was so much fun. So thank you for letting me be a part of it. I really appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the year.
My darling, this is not the end. We should set our own company up.
Yes, we should, shouldn't we? We should. You can come and join Global Weddings, and then we can be global.
Company.
Anyway. Matthew Oliver styling.
But no, thanks for talking to me in this really nice way of doing an interview.
Yeah, it is.
And big love.
Big love to you guys too.
Thank you so much, and goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.